Hello, everybody. Hope everybody had a good holiday, good July the 4th. And today I want to talk with you just a little bit about some obstacles that most clinicians face when they transition from clinician to coach. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about it. So, and what I mean by, the kinds of challenges is that many of them have to learn how to manage large amounts of money. And I know most of us think, okay, well, that's no problem, except for it can be. And I know people that it has buried because they moved so fast and they didn't know how to manage it and they lost everything. So we want to understand our relationship with money and the inherent power that money can have over us and how we can use that power for good or for not so good. Okay. And then also, we need to be able to charge what we are worth. And that's another thing that clinicians really struggle with because we are in this field most likely because we have a heart for the hurting. I know I was and am. And I've always been wired like that. I'm the one dragging home the kittens and the puppies when I was little. And so, and then I got older and I just, I think it was, sorry, it was so rooted in the struggle that I had as a little girl that I just needed to figure out life, figure out myself. Did so much of that work in my 20s and then transitioned into helping other people who were hurting. And I have never one day regretted being a clinician. And I still have my private practice part time because I'm not ready to let go of that. I love that piece. As successful as my coaching business has been, I still am not willing to give that up just because I love doing it. Okay. So, number one major obstacle is family messages. And, I'll just speak for myself. So I came from a blue collar family who came up from the South to find industry. And so I was the first person in my family to ever go to college. And I had to fight to even get there because my dad believed that if you were a female, you had no business with an education. Isn't that beautiful? So that gives you a little bit of what I had to overcome. It was pretty bad. And so but family can make you feel, if you're not careful, they can really cause feelings of insecurity. I know for me, when I got my bachelor's degree and then I got my master's degree, when I got my master's degree, I didn't even let anybody come and see me at graduation. I just had it mailed to my home. And the reason I did that was because I knew if they came, they'd be bitter, they'd be resentful, and they wouldn't even fully understand what I had done. Right. And the worst part was that they pushed me out of that family because they believed that I was too good to be part of them. And it broke my heart. And I remember after in my early 20s, after trying to convince them just so I could belong, that was my family. It didn't matter to me how much education they had, but just trying to convince them that I didn't believe that I was better than them. It was silliness and so toxic. And so if some of you are facing that, or even the current situation, and people in your life will be jealous that they see you take off in a coaching practice, then you've got to figure out how to place people around you who are supportive of you, who see your value, who see your strengths. None of us, I would imagine, have any problem, pulling up people who would be glad to criticize us, glad to find our faults and weaknesses. But in coaching, with having to do live videos and get yourself known and make your voice heard, you have to put yourself out there. And I personally, anybody who was not supportive of me, I knew that affected my mind and I blocked them. Like, I'm done. Like, if you can't be loving and supportive the way I would with you, then there's no place for you in my life. And that's where you have to be. And coaching or no coaching, in my opinion, that's where you need to be regardless. Okay. Number two, money makes you more of who you already are. So, as a little girl, I was always pretty generous. I always had a heart for the hurting. And I'm guessing that's because I was hurting so badly. I was the one bringing home all the little kittens and the puppies and begging to take care of everything that struggled. And I grew up and I became a counselor so I could do the same thing. The same thing with boundaries, let me just say, the same thing with boundaries. But my point is that money makes us more of who we are. So if you already have that generous nature, I don't mean an unhealthy, boundaryless nature, but if you already have a heart for the hurting and you know that about yourself, then money's just going to make you more of that person. You'll be able to donate to people who need you, and that just will meet such a need for you if that's who you already are. Now, on the flip side, if you tend to be more selfish, and I don't mean selfish in a healthy, boundaried way, but if you know that you struggle with that piece, then more money will make you more stingy, and that's just the way that it is. And so hopefully that helps you understand how much mindset work needs to be done, because either one, whether you're, let's say you're a boundaryless codependent who's rescuing everything, right, or trying to fix everything, or you're somebody who's been hard-hearted and maybe you've had to be stingy because people have always tried to take stuff from you, right? Regardless, you can understand that in order to be a whole counselor, and an emotionally healthy counselor, you have to make sure your mindset is in check. Okay. All right. And then the third tip is, or step is, feeling undeserving. This is the biggest one I see, actually. Feeling like you're not worthy. And the number one thing that I have to say about that is that you have to believe that you're not only capable of earning six figures or more, but you're absolutely worth it. You're absolutely worth it. Now, that's easier said than done. It seems like, oh, yeah, I know I'm worth it. No, not everybody feels that way. And so they have to address this with a coach. And it sounds like, you're making crazy amounts of money in coaching, but look at it this way. All right. Let's say that you charge $400 a month for a coaching client who is going to be in your program for 6 months. Okay. $400 a month. And and you can vary this and work with this, but a typical coaching schedule, at least what I've maintained and what I was taught too, is twice a week. So twice a week for 90 minutes. I still actually meet with my coaching clients 90 minutes twice a week. All right. So let's talk about this for a second. So if it's 2 times a week, all right, at $400 a month, and you divide that out and you do the math, do you know what that ends up being for a typical 90, not 60, not 45 or 50, for a typical 90-minute session? That turns out to be only $50 for 90 minutes. Now, the big difference is that you're not seeing clients one-on-one, back to back, and ready to drop and having to kill yourself for that money. Instead, you're able to help your clients in the group or community coaching setting where you can reach all of them at once instead of one of them at once. And you also have them supporting each other in the community, which just enriches the whole program, right? When they find other people just like them with the same exact problem, then there's a bond that develops. And so between that and your training and teaching, they get way more than their money's worth. And then you add in that you're not just listening and counseling and providing some direction and providing options and alternatives. You are literally providing a solution for a problem they've struggled with that's messed up their life. Okay. Can you put a price tag on that? Right. I highly encourage you to charge what you're worth. And so that feels ambiguous, doesn't it? What I'm worth. All right. We could talk more about that, but $400 a month isn't much. All right. If you divide that out and realize that's $50 per 90-minute session, is really not that much, which is why you want to make sure that your prices are competitive, and you want to make sure that you know that you're going to deliver a solution to somebody. Now, can you control whether or not that person picks up the solution? No, you can't. You can't. And I think a lot of coaches think, well, that's how it differs from counseling. No, you're not responsible for their transformation. They're responsible for their transformation. You provide the tools and you provide direction, which is a big difference between coaching and counseling. Okay. So if you don't believe what you're worth, if you don't believe that you're worth more than $50 a session, something is very, very wrong. $50 a session for a 50-minute session was what I got paid by the very worst EAPs and insurance companies 25 years ago. So, so know that this is not an inordinate amount of money. It is not an unreasonable amount to charge a client. And hopefully what I've talked about today can kind of help you sort through these things. Think about, your offer. How do you want to help people? And it can be anything. It can be it could be being a single parent, what that's like, and how to move from, desperation to absolute success in your life. Let's just say worst case to best case, right? Or you are blended family issues, big deal. We know that as clinicians, blended family issues are a huge deal. You bring that into coaching and you can help people get results so much faster. Okay. Same thing with dating coaches, health and wellness coaches, anything like that. It really, really means the world to the client. It changes their life. It changes your life. It gives you so much more time just for yourself, for your family, for the things you love. And that all starts with how you think about money and what your core beliefs are about money. Okay. So I hope you found that helpful. And I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. And I will just see you on Thursday. Okay. Bye bye.